like she's become one of the the Khabib of flyweight division. Like we at Sony, everybody calls her the Khabib of the flyweight division because who else is there? Attributes, if you see, Beneil Dariush has the upper hand, but then Tony has always been Tony. People are already assuming that Michael Chandler is the champion. They are making next fights for him.
UFC 262 happens this weekend and it will be headlined by the lightweight title fight between Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler. The event will be live in India on Sunday, 16 May 2021 from 7:30 AM IST on SONY TEN 2, SONY TEN 3 and SONY LIV. Here's the preview for the event.
Hello everyone, welcome to the UFC 262 preview from LockerRoom India, and today we have with us Indian MMA fighter Balakrishna Patange. Bala is a multiple time national champion and someone who has represented India at the IMMAF World Championships. So he's also the UFC commentator for Sony. So brother, how's it going there?
All good, all good in this time of pandemic. It is going as well as it should be. I can't train right now, nor I can commentate. But yeah, if I'm safe, then I will say it's a big plus for me, and hope everybody listening to us is also safe.
Okay, cool. So regarding 262, we have 5 fights on the main card, and it opens with the bantamweight fight between Rogerio Bontorin and Matt Schnell. So what's your take on that particular fight? It's a short notice fight for Bontorin, who is coming up from flyweight to fight in bantamweight. Both these fighters are ranked fighters in flyweight. One is 8, one is 9. So what's your take on this particular fight?
Uh, Actually, I would really like this fight. I really like this fight, but I wish it did come at the cost of Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards. But it is what it is. This is a really fun fight because flyweight, you have, yeah, if you remember the first flyweight division, you had people who were 5'3", like Demetrius Johnson. I mean, you still have Joe Benavidez and all. They were very small, but these kind of flyweights are really huge when you look at them like that. And people used to say flyweights don't have knockout power, but these guys have the knockout power. Matt Schnell is a person who is very tall for flyweight, and he moves very well. Now he fights going forward, he fights going backwards. He has a very, like you would expect from a flyweight, 125 pounder. Of course, this fight is taking, like you said, it's taking place at bantamweight, but from a flyweight, if you expect, he has very good power and he has very good speed as well. And so fighting forward, fighting backwards, and he has a very good ground game. Now you look at his opponent, he's a little bit shorter, like a typical flyweight, you'd say, and he's very powerful. Now he throws punches, he throws hooks, and he closes the distance, and he tries to slam you. Now this guy, Bontorin, has 11 submissions out of his 16 wins. He slams you, he takes the top position, and he tries to either ground and pound you out, or after the ground and pound, he tries to submit you. And he has done that successfully. But now in Snell, you have a very experienced person, you have a very experienced flyweight, and who has a good ground game from his back. He takes use of his long limbs, long legs, and he has good submission. He has good sweep, and he has good scrambling skills. So this fight will be a very exciting fight because you will see that typical flyweight scrambling. One guy is a dominant grappler, other guy is a good striker, tall guy, but he scrambles well, so he will try to stand up, and you will see that multiple times. I feel it will be a very good, at least more than a 2-round fight. You will see a very good, and you will see the whole of MMA. Like you will see striking, you will see a technical striker, you will see a brawler, you will see slams, wrestling, you will see takedown defense, and you will see scrambles on the ground. So I like this because flyweight division is very, you have fighters all, they are not that popular, but they are very skilled. And it's a very fun fight. So I like this fight, even though two of the good fights, name fights, like Edmund Shabazian and Hermanson fight was postponed, and then Nate Diaz and Edwards fight were postponed. But if you want if you're looking for the fight aspect, this is a very good fight.
Okay, so I just had 2 questions regarding this fight. So first of all, what difference does it make when a fighter goes up the weight class and fight? So as a fighter, you will be knowing better. So what difference does the weight difference make?
Weight difference makes a lot of difference because I know, people say, 10 pounds, what difference? I mean, 10 pounds is what? 5 kgs, close to 5 kgs somewhere. So 10 pounds make a lot of difference because when you have maybe a lot of fighters will have experienced that they are in the gym, they have a heavier person with them, but the heavier person is not that skilled. So they dominate the other guy because they are more skilled, and then they say, oh, this weight doesn't matter. Yes, weight doesn't matter if the person is not skilled, but here you have 8th rank flyweight and 9th rank flyweight. So these are the top guys. So even an inch makes a lot of difference. We have seen this, like a lot of fighters who purposefully miss weight, like Diego Ferreira did it last week. He purposefully missed weight by a lot because he knew his opponent Gregor Gillespie was a very good grappler. So he missed weight so that it will give him an advantage, and people have done that, and people have done that successfully. Of course, Diego Ferreira lost, but people have done that successfully. So every pound, every kg matters. But in this case, I don't think it will matter as much because both the fighters are flyweights, and their walking weight would be equal because they both have to cut to 125. Right now, it's a short notice fight. That is why they are fighting at bantamweight. So it wouldn't be that much of an impact. But if, for example, Schnell was already fighting and he was fighting at a bantamweight, now Bontorin came at a short notice. But now, if Bontorin had to fight at bantamweight and Schnell already was a bantamweight fighter, it would have made a lot of difference, especially for a guy like Bontorin who uses his strength. So it would have made a lot of difference. Right now, in this fight, I feel it won't make that much of a difference. In fact, you will feel that positive aspect because these guys don't have to cut that much weight right now, and so we will see like even more stamina because they don't have to cut whatever weight they are cutting. Even though if it's a small amount, they don't have to do that. So now you're gonna see a better fight, which they already would have.
Okay, cool. So the second question I had was that Bontorin is coming into the fight on a 2-fight losing streak. So is there a more pressure on him even though he took the fight on short notice?
There is mentality. There is a question of mentality because you coming into the fight with a 2-fight, losing streak, of course, because now, and he has the, that thing where, oh, I want to prove myself. A lot of times it happens that you are on a 3-fight losing streak and Dana White just cuts you. And flyweight division Dana White is really not happy with the flyweight division. He doesn't like the flyweight division that much. But the quality of opponents Bontorin has lost, Kai Kara France and Ray Borg.
Yep.
That shows. Ray Borg is a title challenger, of course. Kai Kara France is a very good fighter, and Ray Bontorin had Kai Kara France in a very bad position before he got TKO. So I will think that will be a confidence booster for him. And of course, you have that thing where if you lose 3 fights in a row, then there is always a chance that you might get cut. So that is always there. So of course, and Schnell is not an easy fight. He won his last fight very well, and he's also looking to go forward in the flyweight division. So it's gonna be a tough fight for both of these guys, and they are very similarly ranked because 8th rank and 9th rank. So it is a very even fight.
Okay, cool. So if we move on to the next fight, we have a featherweight bout between Edson Barboza and Shane Burgos. Now, Barboza, after moving to featherweight, he's 1-1, and he's coming off a win against Amir Khani. And before that, he was on a 3-fight losing streak, but that too, it was against Paul Felder, Danny Gay, and Justin Gage. And Burgos, on the other hand, is coming off a defeat against Josh Emmett. So, what are your thoughts on this particular featherweight bout?
So this is a very exciting fight for me because like the UFC 262 card was like this was an amazing card, and of course old favorites. Edson Barboza is always an action fighter. Win or lose, he brings the entertainment. Now Barboza's striking is so elite, is so amazing that you need to be a special kind of fighter to beat. You need to be, anyway, win or lose, you are gonna take those kicks, you're gonna take those heavy punches, and you have to move forward. Barboza, every fighter who wants to fight Barboza needs to know one thing, that whatever happens, I need to move ahead. If you step back against Barboza, you're done. Now you look at the fighters he's lost. You remember his fight with Tony Ferguson. You remember his fight with Khabib. You remember his fight with Paul Felder.
Paul Felder.
He remember his fight with. These are exciting fights. You remember fight his Dan Hooker. Yeah, Justin Gaethje, exactly. So Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje. Now, what is the difference? Tony Ferguson was a war. Tony Ferguson fight was a war. Tony Ferguson went ahead. He took everything from Barboza. His head kicks, his hooks, his body shots. He was bloodied. Both the fighters were bloodied, but Tony Ferguson moved ahead and he won. Yeah. So also you look at the fight with Justin Gaethje. He went ahead. He took those leg kicks, but he knocked him out. He went forward. Same with Khabib. So Khabib was not scared of the kicks. He took those kicks. He took those leg kicks. He blocked also, but he used his wrestling. He went ahead. He just went ahead. He took punches and he went ahead. He didn't show also the pain. Khabib was a different animal, obviously. He took ahead. He took him down, ground and pound, and he won. Now you see the fighter like Dan Hooker. He gave him space. Dan Hooker is a tough guy. Dan Hooker took that punishment like even DC was like, stop the fight. He was just took those body shots. Now that is an example. That is a clear difference. If you are not moving forward against Barboza, you are dead. And Shane Burgos is the type of fighter who will move forward. But Barboza, since he's gone down to featherweight, you see the difference. You see the difference between power. Again, like we say, 10 pounds, but it makes a difference. Dan Ige was a wrestler. He pressured him with also the wrestling. If you are a striker and you cannot push Barboza back, you are going to be in a problem. Now we'll analyze what Shane Burgos is. Shane Burgos has lost to only two people. One, Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar fight was very exciting and it was like a breakout fight for both those fighters. Because of that fight, both those fighters became famous. Shane Burgos also became famous and Calvin Kattar also became famous. So Shane Burgos has the knockout power. Shane Burgos can push you back. Now we have to see, and Shane Burgos is a big featherweight. He's a 5'11" featherweight. So now we have to see that the pressure works on Barboza, or Barboza has learned to counter, because Barboza's footwork going backwards is very. I mean, of course, I cannot say that to a very top level fighter, but he has done so many mistakes and he has not corrected them at all. Those mistakes, we see them in every fight. The mistakes Barboza makes while going backwards, we see them in every fight. Now, I as an amateur MMA fighter, I don't know, like I'm justified in saying he's wrong, but then you see the result. He's losing. Whenever he's pushed back, he loses. So now it is a very clear thing. Where the key to victory is given to you. Everybody knows what to do. Even Dan Hooker knew what to do. But the one question is, can you do it? Can you survive that punches? Can you survive that fast kicks, leg kicks? Yeah, that switch body kick is perfection, literally. But can you survive that and move ahead and beat Barboza? That is the question. Like, it's a very simple question. Normally you have 2 or 3 questions. Like a Chandler fight or Oliveira fight, you have 2-3 questions. Ground, stand up, wrestling, whatever. Barboza, you have a simple question. Can you take those punches and move ahead? Then you will win. Otherwise, you're not gonna win. Like, very simple.
So either way, we are going to get a very exciting fight because of going to be a stand-up war from what we can understand. So after this fight, we have a women's flyweight fight between Katlyn, Chookagian and Viviane Araujo. So Katlyn, again, the second-ranked flyweight in the division. She is coming off a win against Cynthia Calvillo, and she has been over Jennifer Maia and Anthony Shevchenko as well. She had a title fight which did not go her way. So she's kind of building back to that title fight. Araujo, meanwhile, is ranked 7th, and she would want to break into that top 5 or get a title fight in the future. So a lot at stake in this fight. So what's your take on this one?
This is, like you said, very well said, that it's a very important fight. You see a lot of these fights happen. You see, who is a title challenger but lost. He's coming down against a fighter who is rising. So these fighters are, matched to, find out a new contender or give the whole fighter a chance to again build back up. Now you see, Chookagian is a fighter who's, very tall. She doesn't have in flyweight. She doesn't have the knockout power, but she uses distance very well. And she's a fighter who goes to the decision very well. I mean, she fights, she knows that, okay, I don't have the knockout power, and she doesn't force it. You give her the chance, of course, she's gonna finish you. But otherwise, she's very happy to go to a decision. Now, in a last fight, she won against Cynthia Calvillo. He's a very impressive opponent. But the fight before that, the reason she took that Cynthia Calvillo fight with a very short, time frame, because the fight before that she fought Jessica Andrade. Yes, and Jessica Andrade finished her with a body shot and gave her. And after that fight, Jessica Andrade got the title shot. Now that shows you what kind of, the place Chookagian has in UFC. Because beating her gives you a title shot, gives a person title shot who's come up from strawweight. Now, of course, she was the champion at strawweight. But beating her, and she was the #1 ranked contender at 10, gave you a title shot. So you know what kind of opponent that is. And it's a very simple thing. She keeps the distance and she's gonna win. She keeps the distance and she tries to win. Now, against Jessica Andrade, it was a simple thing. Again, Jessica Andrade is one of the fighters that if you let her come close, it's over for you. She'll either slam you or she'll either knock you out. Now, Viviane Araujo, as a fighter, her last fight was against Roxanne Modafferi. Roxanne Modafferi.
Very experienced.
She's a very, very experienced, very good veteran. And she's a tall person. Against Roxanne Modafferi, she made her look helpless. Roxanne, she took her to the decision, but very easy. Like, she wasn't even trying. Striking, she beat Modafferi. Modafferi tried to take her down, she beat Modafferi there also. She took her down once or twice, she got her. Modafferi tried to, that tough man thing, try to grind you against the cage, make it a dirty fight. She used her footwork to get out. Now, what you have in Viviane Araujo is a very complete fighter. But again, against Chookagian, she's a very she's a shorter fighter, not very, but she's a short fighter. But she's very well versed in kicks. Now you have to see where the fight goes. Araujo is not a takedown person herself. I mean, she's not a wrestler type. She's a Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So if somebody takes you down, somebody takes her down, she's ready with the submissions or she's ready with the scrambles. Now, we have to see that because Chookagian also is not a takedown person. So, either what's going to happen is, and Viviane Araujo has very good hands. We saw that in the Modafferi fight. Like, she had almost had her finish, but her coach was like, calm down. You don't have to, because Modafferi obviously is very tough. So, in this fight, I see a striking match where I feel that Araujo will hurt Chookagian, and Chookagian will use her more experience to press her up against the cage, use that clinch because she's a tall person, use that clinched knees. And I feel it's dependent on who controls the cage better, who controls the distance better. Now, if Araujo goes closes the distance and uses the punches, right, she can get a win. And of course, there is always that unpredictability where, somebody or the other in this close fought match, they use their takedowns. So I feel Araujo will be the one to use her takedowns. And again, Chookagian will be the one who keeps her distance with the long jab and the front kicks and her kicks. So I feel it will be that kind of a battle where whoever wins the distance game will win. If Chookagian, again, I'm very simplifying it, obviously, like making it too very simple. It's not that simple, but a general idea of it is, if Araujo closes the distance and uses her leg kicks against a taller opponent, always leg kicks are always a good starting point, and closes the distance with a boxing, she has good boxing and elbows as well, and knees as well. So if she does that, she will win. Chookagian has to keep her distance, keep it moving for 3 rounds. Dirty box, when she comes close, you have the top clinch, you have the uppercut, you have the knees, you have the front kicks. So in the both cases, whoever implements their game plan wins. I mean, it's very, like, when I say it, it sounds very simple, but like, it is what it is in this fight, at least. Like, it is a game of distance and it is a game of footwork. Whoever can avoid the cage, wins the match. Okay, grinding against the cage, I feel that she will win a decision. It will be a decision fight, but it will be a very technical fight. Because
Okay, cool.
both the fighters are going, because after Valentina Shevchenko beat Andrade, there is a vacuum at the top. Nobody knows who the contender is. Now, on such a big card, UFC 262, if you have a impactful win, maybe that can catapult both of these fighters. Whoever wins can catapult them into the title conversation.
Okay, so basically that was my next question. Like, will the winner of the fight possibly get a next title shot? So you
I
probably answered.
Yeah, who else is there right now? I mean, of course,
Right.
there may be somebody. Next time flyweight fight happens, you will see that knockout. Fair, that's fair. But right now, like before the UFC 262 happens, who's there? I don't know. Maybe Valentina wants to go up to fight Amanda for the third time. But in the flyweight division, like she's become one of the Khabib of flyweight division. Like we at Sony, everybody calls her the Khabib of the flyweight division, because who else is there?
Awesome, cool. So after this fight, we have the co-main event, like Beneil, Dariush, and Tony Ferguson. Like excellent fight, exciting fight. So Dariush is currently coming on back of a 6-fight winning streak. Like he has defeated names like Dakar Close, Diego Pereira, Drew Dober, among others. And Tony, on the other hand, is coming off a 2-fight losing streak, but that too, it came against Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje. Prior to that, he was on a 12-fight winning streak. Like names like RDA, Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone, Lando Vanetta, Kevin Lee, Edson, Barboza. An excellent resume there. So, do you think a lot of people are overlooking Tony when this fight is coming out?
I think so, because there are factors. Listen, it's not without its reasons. I mean, they are not just overlooking, because the kind of the age, age. Sometimes what happens is, as a fighter, you will see fighters happening. That one fight you're okay, and the other fight, the age suddenly catches up to you. He's 37 now. He's not a young guy, and in lightweight, as the weight divisions are up, like heavyweight, you will see 37-year-olds performing very fine. But at lightweight, where you have to cut a lot of weight, age catches up to you, because there are all very young fighters in the lightweight division, and lightweight division is a killer. It's a very stacked division. Now, it can happen that Tony Ferguson can be done, because the way the beating he took at the hands of Justin Gaethje. I don't know if it was the first, because it was the first fight that took place without the crowds, or I don't know, he really hit him that hard. But you see that fight, and I have never felt that. Like every punch Justin Gaethje threw, like you will hear the echo of it. Again, even now, if I watch the fight, you will hear the echo of it. So I don't know, like I don't know if it was the first fight without the crowd, or maybe it was really hitting him that hard. But the beating he took, and afterwards the second performance he showed against Charles Oliveira. Now people were thinking, I was on the Tony Khabib debate. I was with Tony. I wanted Tony to win. But the way Charles Oliveira controlled him, a lot of people, including me, I said maybe if Khabib was there, it would have been even worse. So maybe that has contributed, like the opinion. I mean, obviously we regard the streak he has, 12 fight, like you took all the name RDA, Barboza. It is one of the greatest in lightweight history. But the drop off, and one of the reasons is people also underrate Charles Oliveira a lot. So that has contributed to a lot of people saying, no, Tony Ferguson is done. But again, like we know, Beneil Dariush has not faced the kind of competition Tony has. So we cannot say it's done, but we can actually see a rise where Beneil Dariush is on the rise and Tony Ferguson is on the fall. And Tony Ferguson has shown a propensity of faltering against good boxers. You see his fight against Lando Vanetta. He's not a good boxer, but he has good punches. You see his fight against Michael Johnson. You see his fight against Barboza, and you see his fight against Gaethje. The one punch which has bothered Tony Ferguson by a lot is that left hook.
Mhm.
Either it can be a southpaw left hook like southpaw whatever, left straight left hook like Michael Johnson had, or it is a left hook from the lead side like Justin Gaethje did.
Mhm.
Now, a thing Justin Gaethje did very nicely in the fight was he came ahead with a right straight or a right overhand, and then he shifts his stance. So he puts the right leg forward and comes over the top with the left hook, and that has landed so many times in that Justin Gaethje fight against Tony Ferguson. So that is one of the weakness like you see in Tony Ferguson, and of course we all know that Tony Ferguson is a fighter who
Mhm.
comes ahead and is definitely willing to take punches to give his own punches or
Mhm.
elbows or however it is, and that's what makes him an entertaining fighter. But how many times, how much punishment can you take? Is that question? How much punishment can you take? Even in fights he's won, he's taken a lot of punishment. So the question comes here: is Beneil Dariush enough to turn it light out? Because again, like we saw, Dariush is a southpaw, and
Mhm.
like the last fight was Diego Ferreira, which he took on decision. But before that, Drakkar Klose, and
Mhm.
before that, another fighter. He was I don't wait. I have his name.
Frank Camacho, I guess.
No. He won the fight against one fighter with a spinning back fist.
Uh-huh.
So he's kind of on a finish streak, except
Mhm.
the Pereira fight.
Correct.
The left hand, southpaw. Again, and then you talk about the ground game. Beneil Dariush comes from Iran. He has a good base of wrestling as well. We saw in the Diego Ferreira fight. He had a good base. And he's a Jiu-Jitsu world medalist. Okay, Nogi Jiu-Jitsu world medalist. Silver medal, bronze medal. He has 2 silvers and 1 bronze.
Mhm.
So if you see like on paper, like or attributes of the fighter, you will, and he's a good boxer. Of course, he's learning with Rafael Cordero, King's MMA, always a good striker. Coach of Kelvin Gastelum, coach of Marvin Vittori, of also Mike Tyson trained with him for his comeback fight with Roy Jones. So he's training with a good camp. Now you see the attributes. You will say on paper, Daniel Dariush has the upper hand again, but and he has a stamina. He keeps a stamina. Like with Ferreira also, it was a very scramble heavy fight. Ground striking. Ferreira is a good opponent, and he dominated on the top position. So that is the question. Like attributes, if you see, Beneil Dariush has the upper hand, but then Tony has always been Tony. Tony doesn't
Mhm.
care, doesn't give a damn. He just goes forward, and that is what we have to see. That it is not a question of like attributes again attributes. It's a question of how far has Tony fallen off, or has he even fallen off.
Mhm.
If Tony can get his game like that pace, keep the pace that he always keeps in 3 round fights, and he keeps the pace because he's a tall guy for 55, like 155.
Mhm.
He's a very tall guy. He starts with the front kicks on the body, then he comes in with the elbows, and he clinches, and then we have the Imanari rolls, and of course you have the something different thing. If Beneil Dariush can catch him while coming in, that is amazing. Maybe it will lead to a finish. Or if Beneil Dariush keeps him down, then he has to avoid the Tony Ferguson 10 planet jiu-jitsu.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, crazy stuff, exactly. Like you said, 10 planet jiu-jitsu, crazy stuff. He goes for crazy stuff. So Beneil Dariush will have to play safe. He cannot go brawling with Tony Ferguson.
Mhm.
And if he goes brawling with Tony Ferguson, then he has to have the confidence that he will knock him out. But like we saw in the last fight, Rafael Cordero told Beneil Dariush that don't take chances.
Mhm.
He stood with Diego Ferreira. So in the third round, I don't know if you remember, it happened just recently this fight, Ferreira versus Beneil Dariush.
Mhm.
So in the corner, Rafael Cordero said, don't stand with him. Every time you're standing with him, you're giving him the chance to knock you out.
Mhm.
So he took him down, and even though Ferreira was a very good submission artist himself, also on the world level,
Mhm.
but Beneil Dariush controlled him. So that is what, because it makes sense to go the safe way. You
Mhm.
want to win, you have to go the safe way. You cannot, like, except Tony, I have never seen a person who has brawled like given everybody the entertaining fight and went to the championship.
Mhm.
Very rare. Tony Ferguson, you have Conor McGregor who just knock people out. But you see, in the lower levels, everybody finishes. Then on the upper level, they have to play safe. So the question is, well, Beneil Dariush, of course, like Rafael Cordero is a great coach, so he will tell him to win, go for the win. The fighters always have to go for the win, not for an entertaining fight. So we have to see, like, if Beneil Dariush usually plays it safe. So if he tries to play it safe, how will Tony react? Now, Tony in the countdown said that I only trained 5 hours jiu-jitsu for Charles Oliveira fight. Now, after he sees the Diego Ferreira fight, he has to know that Beneil Dariush has the capability and the jiu-jitsu game to keep him, like, smother him from the top. So we have to see how Tony adapts to this, how Tony improves his takedown defense, how Tony improves his ground game from below, even though he has a very good game, but Charles Oliveira controlled him. Now, is that a question of Charles Oliveira being that amazing, or is that a question of, Tony Ferguson being a little old? That is we have to see. So it will be, if Beneil Dariush wins, it will be a changing of the guard, and it's a very huge opportunity for Beneil Dariush. If he wins this fight, 7-fight win streak in the lightweight division, with a Tony Ferguson win under your belt, you can definitely have the next either title challenger or one fight away from the title challenge. Definitely, because that is a huge win for anyone.
Okay, cool. So that's a core main event, a lot at stake for both Tony and Dariush. So now we move on to the main event. Ideally, we also had that Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards fight, which got cancelled unfortunately. But the main event, we have a great fight like Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler. Now this is for the vacant lightweight title. So we are going to see a lightweight champion after Khabib. So how do you think this match will play out?
Again, like we have to just continue from our discussion of the previous fight, and we will go on to the next fight. Again, the question is, like, how good is Charles Oliveira? Like Chael Sonnen likes to say, just how good is whoever. So I'll ask you that, because Charles Oliveira has shown a really good improvement in his last few fights. He's on a streak. He's on a 7-fight streak in the lightweight division again, which is a very big feat. Like, if you have a 3-fight or more streak in the lightweight division, like, you are elite. Because lightweight division, even unranked people like Rafael Fiziev, Arman Sarukian are unranked. You have Ferreira, who is lower ranked. Gregor Gillespie, who is like 8th, 9th rank. Islam Makhachev can't get a fight. So if lightweight division, you are on the top, that means you are the pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. No question about it. Now Charles Oliveira is there, and like we said, in the previous one, we analyzed the fight from the Tony's point of view. Charles Oliveira fight. Now we are analyzing from Charles Oliveira point of view. Yes. So how he started, he came in UFC at a very young age, and he was a good striker. And he was a jiu-jitsu guy from the bottom, like a very, very stereotypical tall guy for the division. Good striking, not that good of a wrestling, but good ground game from below. But now we have seen his evolution, where he's striking earlier, which used to be wild, and he's been knocked out. He's been knocked out by Cub Swanson. Frankie Edgar has given him trouble. Now he has really tightened up his striking. No openings, he's just wild. No, he has gotten really tightened up. Then he has got wrestling, which we saw in the Tony Ferguson fight. He took him down. He slammed Tony Ferguson, which is a big deal, because even Kevin Lee did not have that amazing of takedowns. The first round where he slammed him, got on top of Tony, had him in an armbar, which any person other than Tony would have tapped. Like, Tony is crazy, but every other person, that was a fully extended armbar, everybody would have tapped. So that is the question. Now he has tightened up his game to that extent. He's a very well-rounded game. And he's a very well-rounded game at an elite level. Striking has become very elite. Submission game has always been elite. Most submissions in UFC. And again, he's tightened up his wrestling. But there's a big part here, because we have a lot of times seen people with a very well-rounded game getting beat only by a wrestler with overhand right. We have seen that. And Michael Chandler is that stereotypical wrestler who's powerful and who has a very good knockout power.
So he has like around 10 wins via knockout and 7 wins via submission. And interestingly, Chandler has not been submitted in his career.
Yes,
So,
and he has been on the ground with very good black belts. So Brent Primus in Bellator, he was in his guard. He's a very good submission artist, undefeated fighter. Other than Chandler, he's not lost. He was the one who kicked Chandler that, and uh, Chandler had that broken foot, calf injury. And in the rematch, Chandler took him down every time. Brent Primus himself is a very good grappler, but he took him down. He was in his guard, and he dominated him. So I feel here it's a very very clear where the fight is. You have a submission artist and a striker, and you have a wrestler with the knockout power. Wrestler can always dictate where the fight goes, and I don't see Michael Chandler taking it to the ground in this one. Michael Chandler will like to close the distance, will try to close the distance, and he had, like we saw with Dan Hooker, keep his distance. And Chandler is a very explosive guy, so he, even more than a normal wrestler, like Khabib just walks forward. Khabib walks forward. Chandler can jump, and like he uses in and out footwork. We saw against Dan Hooker, because he came in with the right punch, then stepped back. So he didn't eat any punch. Like, I don't know if he ate one punch or maybe a little, one or two punches or kicks. But other than that, he came in with a right straight to the body, right straight to the head. Then he came with a right straight to the body, then went up with a massive left hook again and knocked him out. So we have seen Mike Chandler doing these things. And against a striker now, like I said, this will be very important in this fight, where Charles Oliveira will have to keep his guard up. Because if Charles Oliveira had not improved his striking, I would say it's an easy win for Chandler. Like the previous Charles Oliveira, easiest win for Chandler, because overhand right, whenever Oliveira used to strike, he used to keep his chin up and open. Like maybe I'll give you an example of Luke Rockhold. But right now he kept his striking very tight. So that is where he now uses his kicks very well. He uses the knees very well. He's using the full Muay Thai. So the question here is, how well can Oliveira neutralize the explosive striking of Michael Chandler? Because, and again, like normally you would expect the explosive guy to tire out more, but we have seen Charles Oliveira tire out more, and we have Michael Chandler in multiple 5-round fights in Bellator, because he was the champion, obviously. We have had 2 wars with Eddie Alvarez. We have had fights with Will Brooks. We have had fights with Brent Primus, where he has gone the whole 5 rounds. He has the experience, even though he's only had 1 fight in the UFC. He has championship level experience, and not of the lower level guys, but the guys like Eddie Alvarez. He has
Benson Henderson was there.
Yes, Benson Henderson also is beaten in a 5-round fight. Also in a first round fight, the last fight before UFC, knocked out Benson Henderson. So you cannot say he is just one guy coming out of UFC, because he may not be of UFC, but he was fighting at a championship level, and he proved it when he came in and he just knocked out Hooker in the first round. It showed that he's championship level. This is not a gift. This is earned. And he did it, like very unexpected, but 1 punch knockout. It was very amazing. So this is gonna be on Charles Oliveira again. Charles Oliveira has to keep his stamina. I don't know how, because we have not seen Charles Oliveira in a 5-round fight. We have seen him gassing up. How much on the conditioning he has worked, it remains to be seen in a 5-round fight. And I think we'll see that tested, because Michael Chandler himself has said that he plans to take it to the deep waters, plans to take it to the championship rounds. So now we have to see how well Oliveira is gonna defend, Oliveira is gonna counter, because Michael Chandler has always been an aggressive guy, and Michael Chandler, whoever the person is, he always move forward. You will never see Michael Chandler moving backwards. He will always go ahead. Maybe Michael Chandler will not go for the takedown, because he gives an easy neck to the fighter, he's a grappler, but he's gonna strike. And with Henry Hooft, he has learned very good striking, because Michael Chandler goes for the body shots. He goes for the body shots to set up shots to the head. He has very powerful leg kicks. and that inside out movement is gonna be a problem for Charles Oliveira. Like everybody likes a very good underdog story. Charles Oliveira always has been the fighter who, he used to lose, he used to win. He was a very entertaining fighter, but now after that winning streak, he's still underdog. Because like you said, people are the one of the reasons people are saying that Tony Ferguson is done because he lost to Charles Oliveira, who people very much underrate. And I would, of course, Michael Chandler is deserving of all the praise he gets, but sometimes people tend to overrate him because of the story he puts out and the videos he puts out. He's a very good guy at promoting himself. So kind of, he deserves it, of course. He's a championship level fighter, but people are already assuming that Michael Chandler is the champion. They are making next fights for him. Maybe Michael Chandler will fight Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler will fight Conor McGregor or Khabib, whatever. Now, of course, Khabib maybe not coming or coming there, whatever. But people are making fight for Michael Chandler, and nobody is saying, what will happen if Oliveira wins. So it's like, I feel like Oliveira is a very good underdog, but you cannot count out Oliveira, and it's gonna be a war because Michael Chandler. One thing I can say for both these fighters, very entertaining fighters. They always come to fight. Michael Chandler is not a quitter. Neither is Charles Oliveira. Like Charles Oliveira has given up in the past, but he always brings it. So this is gonna be like, and for the lightweight after Khabib, let's see who's the champ, because I'm very excited for the, due to COVID, I cannot commentate for this, right? But I was very excited for this fight, so I was very much looking forward to commentating this one. But it is what it is. COVID is there, but even to watch this fight is gonna be very, very, very exciting.
Awesome. So which fight do you think will steal the show in the main card?
I mean, the quality of the main card this time is. I feel like the Michael Chandler fight, like it's very cliche to say, the main event will do that. But I feel like the three fights, all three of these fights have the capacity to be not just wars, but like battle of attrition. You have that one round fight where everybody's swinging and somebody gets knocked out. You like those fights. Then you also have those fights where it's a 5 round where it's a back and forth thing. I feel it's gonna be a back and forth. It's gonna be between the top 2 fights, because Tony Ferguson, you may have Beneil Dariush, or Tony Ferguson gets knocked down and he comes back to win, or Beneil Dariush pushes through, or otherwise you'll have Michael Chandler dominating the first few rounds, and then Charles Oliveira comes up with a Hail Mary submission or a knee knockout. So it's gonna be blood all over, and that's it. That is. I mean, of course, fight for fighter health, it is very bad, but that's the kind of fight we enjoy, right? Like Rory Lawler fight. Yeah, Robbie fight, Rory Lawler. Such a tongue twister. But it was that kind of fight, like Conor McGregor, Chad Mendes. So we love a back and forth. And I feel like the co-main event as well as the main event in UFC 262 have the potential to be those back and forth wars, which we all as fight fans love.